Hey everyone, welcome to my masterclass for Etude 21, an Etude composed in the style of Prokofiev's chamber masterwork, an overture on Hebrew themes, a personal favorite, and also a piece that I had the chance to perform during my doctoral degree. I'll link that below if you're interested. For those who are new to this work, this chamber masterwork was composed in New York City between 1919 and 20 and was the result of a coincidental intersection of the Russian-born New National School in Jewish music and an artistic ensemble called the Zimmer Ensemble. During Prokofiev's years in New York City. In this chamber work, originally scored for B-flat clarinet, string quartet, and piano. There were two main ideas, one more rhythmic, one more lyrical. It's very beautiful, very expansive, really wonderful piece for clarinet. And basically that entire piece has been synthesized into one etude for us to play in this book. Now getting into the music, as I've mentioned, the material that we're working with today is directly taken from Prokofiev's score. Like other etudes in this book, we are dealing with a larger work that's been adapted for one player. Keeping that in mind, I believe the main objective for this work will be ensemble. While we don't necessarily have the string quartet and the piano with us for this etude, the study provides a good exercise in character contrast, style, and nuance. Before getting started on this work, take some time to listen to the original work on any streaming service. You have a CD, Spotify, LP, record, whatever. Take some time to listen to this piece. It's beautiful and you should be listening to it if you're going to play this etude. Staying aware of this alone will be a fantastic first step in getting familiar with how this etude has been adapted and structured for this particular book. So starting off in measure 1, we're in 2/4 time with a tempo indication of allegretto. In the original work, Prokofiev scored the music in D minor with a tempo indication of un poco allegro. Despite these differences, we pretty much have a replica of sorts of the original for tempo. I like to play this at quarter note equals 74 to 76. For style, this opening melody should be played very jaunty, very playful. While Prokofiev did compose this with klezmer sensibilities in mind, many clarinetists will often choose to interpret this style on the lighter side. I would definitely say, play this as expressively as you like. This is definitely one of those etudes in the book where you can really take a little more liberty and a little more expressive liberty to really do what you like with it. For me, I like to make sure that all staccato notes are played short, perhaps clipped, thinking about the way a string player might play pizzicato on the strings of a string instrument. Using a bit of vibrato, and vibrato is also a good way to inject some life into this music, to leaning into the half-step intervals that provide harmonic tension throughout, and lingering on the longer notes to provide some anticipation. Personally, some of the best performances I've ever heard have always been when the performers are having fun, taking a little bit of musical risk, and adding excitement to the performance. For the remainder of this masterclass, I'm going to give you some general tips on how you can interpret this based on the way that I played it. These are things that work for me that I really like to do, and things I think will be helpful for the general trajectory of this etude based on the adaptation. In measure 23, I recommend making the articulation on the staccato notes pointed and stretching the figures on beat 2. In measures 27, the etude finally reaches a forte and the dynamic volume should be loud but not forced, really making sure to keep a lyrical quality in the line no matter what. In measure 39, keep the staccato notes detached and slightly increase the tempo for the new motive in measure 40. This tempo should remain steady until measure 55, where we go back to the tempo 1 marking. In measure 47, we are setting to a high A6. One of the highest notes in this book. I think the last time we played that note was in Etude 2. So really make sure that you are anticipating this transition from the A6 to the F6 that comes after it. This break can be a little bit tricky on the clarinet, so making sure you're anticipating that and adjusting the voicing as necessary. At measure 43, the seguito piano should be played very suddenly and provide a stark contrast to the mounting excitement built up until now. In measure 47, we are going to be playing a line that was originally scored for the rest of the ensemble. So make sure that there's a clear transition of musical ideas from the previous section to this one. This is just one example of where this happens. Others happened before this, but this is just something I want to point out. That way you really make sure that you're taking a breath and providing a really good transition. At tempo 1, at measure 55, the return of this theme should be very sudden and played at a forte or louder. Sing out, add some vibrato, add color to the phrase, really make this exciting. In measure 62, we are now playing a slight variation of the main theme, this time placing a tenuto marking on the first eighth note on beat 2. This slight change adds a nice touch of anticipation and also prepares the line for a transition to measure 66. From now, in measure 66 to 81, Play this material as marked with all indicated dynamics using the same suggestions as before. Once we get to measure 88, we are now playing an excerpt of the original clarinet part. The staccato notes in measure 91 and on should be very pointed without being too soft to really build up to 96. From 96 to 109, we have a return of the main theme that should be more or less played in the same style as before. If anything, I like to add a bit more emphasis and intensity with each forthcoming repetition. Lastly, in measure 110, we have an accelerato to the end that should be played very gradually, paced and planned, especially if you're playing this with an ensemble. This is not something that you want to improvise. You definitely want to make sure that you are in communication with everyone else that you're playing with. This leads to a brilliant finish in the last three measures. For these particular note groupings where the accelerator starts, I find these to be just a little bit tricky just because we're only using the left hand. So I suggest taking some time with the mirror to really understand your left hand position. I like to focus more on the G sharp and the E's. So really anchoring on the side keys and then making sure this transition from the A to the E is very clean, and then so on. And like I said, make sure you're pacing this in a way that is effective and makes sense musically. You want to go too fast too soon because, like I said, these note groupings can be a little bit tricky and you don't want to derail before you get to that final last two measures. And with that, we've reached the end of Etude 21 in Victor Polatschek's Advanced Studies for the Clarinet. Having reached the end of this masterclass, I hope you gained a little bit of knowledge that prepares you for a very fun performance in the future. In case you have any additional questions on this etude, as always, please feel free to comment below or send me an email. In the meantime, thank you so much for clicking today, and I'll see you next time for Etude 22. Happy practicing, stay safe, and see you again soon.